Today we've got yet another graph sketch. Graph sketch reads the following. Y equals sine e to the x. So let's start. Let's start by sketching each of our functions. So this is a composite function, right? We have e of x being our inner function and sine being our outer function. So if we sketch sine, we've got a graph that looks like such. And then e to the x. Now essentially, we need to consider the domain and range for our inner function, which is e to the x. Now e to the x can take any real value, x, and its range, its output, must always be greater than 0. And okay, that's fine. Now consider the domain and range for sine. Well, sine again can take any input. So since it's taking the range of e to the x, that works out, and sine's range is between -1 and 1. So we know our graph must be bounded by that. So let's consider parts of the graph. So if you start with a negative, or if you look at e to the x, when x is negative, the values e to the x is between 0 and 1. And if we put this into sine, right? Well, sine of any number between 0 and 1 would just cover this region of the graph here. So if we go and try to sketch this from 0 going towards the negative, we start at sine 1 here, and essentially we just tend towards 0. This value here is sine 1. Now let's look at when e to the x is larger than 0. E to the x is larger than 1, so we have positive inputs. So e to the x just grows and grows towards infinity. With sine, right? Well, how this would work with sine is that sine obviously is bound between 0 and 1, so 0, 1, -1 and 1, so let's just sketch that in. Now, we know the shape of sine is as such, but when we have inputs that are rapidly increasing, we would expect the sine graph to also rapidly increase. So we'd start off with a similar shape, but then very soon later, we'd get a shape where the gap between each p becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, since sine is growing at a really fast rate. And then between peaks, the gap would be small, that essentially would just look like a scribble of lines just put together. The gap is really small. And that's what sine e to the x looks like. I hope you enjoyed and understood how we broke this graph sketch down. Hope to see you in the next. Goodbye.